Over the last few months, Vaesen has become my favorite horror RPG for, well, very many reasons that, if you ask me, I will be more than happy to tell you about, but not in this video. In this video, I want to talk about the Lost Mountain Saga. This is a collection of 5 adventures that has been written by Elinor Di Lorenzo, an actor who became, well, rightfully very well regarded because an absolutely fantastic podcast in which these adventures are based. After having read them and played quite a few of these, is this actually worth the amount of money that you have to spend to get your hands on it? Welcome to the GMS RPG review videos. When I first took a look at the Lost Mountain Saga, I really loved the feel of it. But there was one thing that I loved above all, and that is that all 5 adventures are short, to the point, and very accessible. And for me, that is fantastic because I don't have an awful lot of time to actually read and prepare adventures. So the more you give everything ready for me, the more I am going to like it. Something else. This review could contain spoilers, and I will do my best to leave them until the very, very end, and I will very clearly tell you when they begin. Okay, so watch safely. Okay, let's take a look at this. I've already made a video about how good the book looks inside, but if we take a very quick look, the layout is beautiful, very well made, and although I still think that it would be very nice to have a little bit more separation between paragraphs to make the whole thing a little bit more accessible and readable for people like me with dyslexia and other neurodiversities, but overall it is super duper gorgeous. The map is very clear, the characters are very well laid out, and I really like it. This game begins, or these adventures begin with a preface. The preface is going to give you, this introduction is going to give you everything you need in order, now I'm covering this because I want you to read it, in order to start playing the game. In a nutshell, some stones have been discovered and they have been lying dormant for thousands of years for a very good reason. But humans being what we are, we had to go there and mingle with the whole thing for our own greed. Not a good idea, let me assure you. It didn't play nicely. So, firstly, we get, again, page 4 to the 10, our introduction, and then Duty and Despair is from page 10 to page 24. The adventure is going to take the play characters to Falun to find out what is going on in that town. Let me assure you, this adventure is brutal. Really brutal. It doesn't hold its punches. It has death within it. Something else I will tell you with the spoilers within it, but seriously, it is going to require some careful handling because it can be quite jarring, especially at the end of the adventure when there are a number of situations that are revealed or that take place. That can be quite hard. I was worried that that was going to be all that was going to be found in this book, that everything was going to be the same. But it is not. Because then we go to the beginning of the fall, or where the sun, well, to the beginning of the fall. And instead of finding something really brutal and horrible and really harrowing, we have to completely change the ship, not the chip, not the ship, the chip, and do a little bit more investigation. There are encounters with the Vaesen, but they are nowhere like the ones in the first adventure, because these are not the same Vaesen. This adventure gives us a very good opportunity to actually mingle with Vaesen and becomes kind of, well, as much of a friend as you can become with said creatures. Then the third adventure is going to take us all the way up to the North Pole. And we're going to have to deal with the conflicts that are taking place in a very old fishing village that really is struggling right now. One thing I liked about this is that it is very, very dangerous. This is not the kind of adventure that you can sort out with violence. At least, not likely. And yet, here it is, coming very close to incredibly dangerous Vaesen. It was an absolute joy to read. The Prince and the Witch. Where is it? This one is going to take us into literally fairy tale land. Yeah, I know it sounds unlikely, but that's where we're going in all its glory and all its despair and horror and terror. The adventures are incredibly well written. My only minor criticism I could have done with having some sort of diagram or where they were going from the very beginning. What I mean with this is that as you begin to read these adventures, they may not look like they are interconnected, but they are. They have some hanging threads that are repeating throughout the 5 adventures, and eventually it results in a absolutely gorgeous apotheosis, I beg your pardon, apotheosis that feels fantastic if your characters have survived that long, of course. But it could do with that from the very, very beginning, because it would help to be able to reference things that happened in the past and to give some clues from time to time. It also, which is something that I know some people don't like, but I do, leaves plenty of holes for you to fill up as you please. You are going to have to talk with an awful lot of people in order to get the clues and therefore advance the adventure in the direction you need. Some characters are more, not as in non-play, characters are more developed than others, but overall, they're actually very much there. Very much there to the point that it is very easy to, in a very short period of time, to become very fond of them. And that is a massive triumph. Every adventure we've played in about 3 sessions, more or less, about 9 hours, because we play about 3 hours every time, 9 hours. I think that's actually very, very decent, so they don't drag along. There is plenty to do. We never got stuck anywhere, and my friends ended, especially the first and the 4th adventure, with a, well, so that was nice, wasn't it? They were truly disturbed by the whole scenario. So this is fantastic. And now for the spoilers. So please, if you're going to play and not run this adventure, stop watching now, please. If you're going to run this adventure, or you are interested in running this adventure, then go ahead. Why did I say that the first adventure is brutal? The first adventure deals with child death and not just child death, but with a parent killing their own child for the most ridiculously obnoxious reasons. It is that bad. So it is something that you have to take care of it. Dealing in the second adventure with little Vaesen who don't want any harm, it really helps an awful lot to establish, that killing the Vaesen just because is not a very good idea. Because they truly are not bad, and that's what they present in this adventure. It is an adventure in which you have to talk with an awful lot of people to find out who is funding what's going on in the first adventure, which is a mine that's mining some material. It's a green stone that has some properties, but that green stone actually has some effects on Vaesen, and Vaesen are not being happy about it. If on top of that we add this secret organization that's trying to do something truly unspeakable, like resurrecting a god of a Vaesen, we are starting to get into trouble here. But the second is more about talking, discussing with people, trying to find out what's going on, whilst dealing with the fact that these little Vaesen are bothering some people but not other people. So you have to make a few tough choices as to how are you going to sort this without harming anybody, or if you don't care harming people or Vaesen. That's going to be entirely up to you. This fishing village, yes, you are going to see this beautiful giant walking there, and you're going to have to decide what you can or should or want to do in order to stop that giant from taking a member of that village, taking them away, so that giant will grant them better weather for the following year. This is something that didn't happen the previous year, and this giant nearly wiped out. And yes, of course, our near reaction would be, well, get rid of the giant, but then the village may not want you to do that, and you are going to be an outsider. How are you going to deal with that? And then in the following adventure, we're going to have to be dealing with a witch, the kind of witches that want to eat children for real, and it's going to make you get lost in a forest. That's their realm. How are you going to be dealing with that sort of thing? That's the kind of adventures that we're talking about. These are not for children. These are really adult, even though it's dealing with fantasy themes, but this is very much for adults, and you have to be very careful how you run them. Are you going to enjoy them? I did. I so did. We laughed with these adventures. We cried at the death of one of the main NPCs in the first adventure, and how his partner deals with that, which is, summarized in one paragraph at the very beginning of the second adventure, that when I read it to my friends, I got a lump in my throat. It was that emotional. And that's not all that this has to offer. If you like Vaesen, this you will enjoy, trust me. It is beautiful, so raw, so well produced, so well written, so well thought out, that learning to play Vaesen just to play this would definitely be very well worth it. If you have already played this adventure, I would love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't, I would love to hear what you think once you have played it. But until the next time, thank you very, very much indeed for being there, and I will talk to you very soon. Take care.